Welcome, tennis aficionados. I'm Marcus Cole, lead analyst for the Global Tennis Review. Joining me is former WTA doubles specialist and tactical analyst Elena Rossi. This past week in tennis offered a fascinating contrast, a stunning upset in the Billie Jean King Cup, and a series of gritty battles on the ATP Challenger Tour.
Thank you, Marcus. It's a pleasure to be here. We saw a depleted Great Britain side pull off a remarkable result against Australia on paper, while the Challenger events in Madrid, Houston, and Bucharest provided compelling narratives and a glimpse into the future of the men's game.
Saturday, April 11th, Billie Jean King Cup qualifier, Great Britain 3, Australia 0. Let's start with the biggest story of the week. Great Britain secured their spot in the BJK Cup finals with a clean 3-0 sweep over Australia in Melbourne. On the surface, a dominant performance. But Elena, the context here is everything. Great Britain was without four of their top singles players, Emma Raducanu, Katie Boulter, Fran Jones, and Sonia Kartal. How did they pull this off?
This was a masterclass in tactical execution and sheer resilience, Marcus. The scoreline 3-0 is emphatic, but it belies the tension of the tie. The foundation was laid on Friday, day one. 17-year-old Mika Stojsavljevic, making her debut, stunned Talia Gibson, who is ranked over 200 places above her. That's not just a win, that's a psychological earthquake. Then, Harriet Dart, the world number 173, recovered from a set down to beat Kimberly Byral. Going into Saturday with a 2-0 lead shifted all the pressure onto Australia's shoulders.
The doubles rubber then became the decider. Great Britain fielded a new pairing in Harriet Dart and Jodie Burrage, who had never played together before. They defeated the experienced Australian duo of Storm Hunter and Ellen Perez 6-3, 6-4. What was your critique of that match?
The result was outstanding, but the performance was far from perfect, which makes their victory even more impressive. They started nervously, getting broken immediately and falling to a 3-1 deficit in the first set. What followed was the key turning point. The roof on John Cain Arena was closed, and the British pair seemed to find a new level of focus. They reeled off 5 consecutive games to take the set. The second set was a serve and volley nightmare with 4 consecutive breaks of serve. It was scrappy, but they made the decisive break in the 9th game, and Jodie Burrage held her nerve to serve it out. My critique is that this is not a sustainable strategy against top-tier doubles teams. Their service games were too vulnerable. However, their fighting spirit and ability to win ugly was none to other.
And from an Australian perspective, this must be a devastating loss. They were the heavy favorites at home.
It's a colossal failure for Australia. Captain Sam Stosur had feared a funky upset, and it materialized. Talia Gibson, despite her high ranking, was outplayed by a 17-year-old debutant. Kimberly Byral couldn't close out her match against Dart. This exposes a deep vulnerability in the Australian women's program, a lack of mental fortitude in high-stakes team competitions. They had the stronger squad on paper, but they couldn't handle the pressure. Missing their top player, Maya Joint, due to injury was a blow, but it doesn't excuse a home whitewash.
So what's the final verdict on Great Britain's performance?
It's a triumph of team spirit over individual rankings. Captain Anne Keothamong deserves immense credit. She instilled a belief in her underdog team that allowed a debutante and a makeshift doubles pairing to thrive. They are now heading to the finals in Shenzhen for the 3rd straight year. If they can get their top players healthy and committed for the finals, they have the depth to be a genuine threat.
Challenger and Tour Roundup, Madrid, Houston, and Bucharest. Shifting gears to the men's game, the past week was packed with action on the ATP Challenger Tour, culminating in finals on Sunday, April 12th. Let's start with the ATP Challenger Villa de Madrid.
The winner here was Hungary's Zsombor Piros. He defeated Austria's Yuri Rodionov in the final, 7-5, 6-2. My critique of Piros has always been his inconsistency. He has the talent to be a top 100 mainstay, but often loses focus. In Madrid, he was solid throughout the week, according to reports, and that is the key. This win will push him back into the 150 mark. For Rodionov, the runner-up finish is still a strong result. However, the semifinal was reportedly an agonizing and marathon duel against Nicolas Jarry. He likely had nothing left in the tank for the final. This is a common problem at the challenger level. Players exhausting themselves just to reach the title match. It shows a need for better physical conditioning and match management.
Let's move to the United States for the ATP 250 event in Houston.
Now this was a thriller. American Tommy Paul won his 5th career ATP title, but it was how he won it that is truly noteworthy. He saved 3 championship points against the unseeded Argentinian Roman Burrage to win 6-1, 3-6, 7-5.
Saving 3 match points in a final is remarkable resilience. What was your tactical takeaway?
This match is a textbook case of a player winning despite his own mental lapses. Paul looked to be heading for a straight-set victory after the first set. Then he completely lost his way in the second and found himself down 5-3 in the third, serving at 15-40, facing 3 match points. That's a near choke of epic proportions. However, his escape and subsequent comeback, breaking Burrage to love in the next game, speaks to a level of self-belief that can't be taught. For Burrage, this was a devastating loss. He played the match of his life and was 1 point away from his first ATP title. My critique is that he became passive after missing those match points. Instead of staying aggressive, he let Paul dictate the final 2 games. That's a classic sign of inexperience on the big stage.
And finally, the ATP 250 in Bucharest.
This was another final that went the distance, with Argentina's Mariano Navone winning his first ATP title, defeating Spain's Daniel Mérida 6-2, 4-6, 7-5. Navone had lost his 2 previous ATP finals, and it looked like he might suffer the same fate again. He served for the match at 5-3 in the third set and failed to close it out.
A recurring theme this week, players unable to serve out matches. How did Navone recover?
He recovered because of his experience as a clay court specialist. After wasting his match points, he didn't panic. He simply reset and waited for his next opportunity. For Mérida, this was a heroic run. He came through the qualifying rounds and played an incredible, aggressive tournament, pushing his body to the limit with 3 consecutive 3-set matches. By the third set of the final, his legs were gone. He was visibly struggling. This is the double-edged sword of a qualifier's run. He has immense talent and fight, but he needs to build the physical base to sustain that level over a full week. This performance will be a massive confidence booster for him.
So, to summarize the week, Great Britain showed that heart can overcome rankings in team tennis. Tommy Paul proved that winning ugly is still winning, and Mariano Navone finally got the monkey off his back.
I agree. The common thread across all these events is resilience, but the critiques are just as clear. Australia's mental fragility, Paul's dangerous lapses in concentration, and the physical toll the Challenger Tour takes on its players are all issues that will need to be addressed moving forward.
Elena, as always, your insight is invaluable. Thank you.
Thank you.
To our viewers, we hope this detailed tactical breakdown has enriched your understanding of the week's tennis action. For more expert critiques and credible sports analysis, please subscribe to our channel and like this video. Your support allows us to continue bringing you unvarnished, source-based commentary. Until next time, keep your eye on the ball.